Hello!
We are
Annie and Konstantin.
And you're watching another episode of
Updates.
And these updates are coming a little earlier.
These updates are coming to you a little sooner because we will be without internet for about a week now because we are going to the Fusion Festival.
And for that, we packed a whole fuck ton of stuff.
I want to sit next to it just for size comparison. This is the size of one Annie, this is the size of one bag.
So it is currently
a little after midnight.
And this is going to be a crazy productive night because our bus is going at 8 a.m.-ish.
We have 8 hours between here and then to do all of the things.
7 hours.
Yes.
So, let's get cracking. Yes, that's what we're doing right now. Weird stuff. Shooting a little introductory video to the depression anxiety life hacks so people can get a compressed
little intro to the thing without starting right into the meat of it. It's like getting yourself slightly wet before you jump headfirst into the pool.
So one of the things on the agenda tonight is to send the flyer for the depression anxiety life hacks to print, which is now finally designed, and this is the way it is going to look. And usually we show you the finished product, but I just want to run you quickly through the work in progress to, show you how it is that we come to this. We started with the drawing of the brain weasel, which I did 2 years ago, and which we later incorporated in the first episode. And I kind of wanted to make a logo out of it. For the whole project it's nice to have something visual, but this doesn't look very nice. So I made a rough sketch based on the image, but didn't fit into the round symbol, and I really wanted to be like round, which we can put on buttons and stickers and everything. So I just switched the hands around to make it like more of a pleasing for the eye composition. After that I refined the drawing, but Annie made a valid point that the weasel now looks very, very mean and more like a rodent and not like a cute thing. So I've modified the face, which looks like a lot friendlier now. And after doing a little image search, the suggestion came like, don't they have like more of a white thing going on there? Which they do. And after that I tried ways of putting the words on that, and when I was happy with that I could move on to the backside, for which I already had an idea how to arrange the whole symbols, and then you just write a dummy text and throw in and try fonts which may fit and what looks nice. And after that I tried like something completely different, because maybe your first idea isn't the best one, so it's always good to try like a completely different approach just to see if that maybe is better. And then you have like the final text, and then you have the final polishing bits and pieces, which was here the question, how should we do the arrow? Should it be like, what's the text? So you just try different things, and when you're happy with the smiling arrow that points upwards, you're done in the 57 simple steps. By the way, this QR code is going to show the video we showed you earlier, so it's going to be an analog digital campaign. Just to give you a hint how crazy this night is, we are currently shooting and editing at the same time. In case you're wondering, I'm making foods because we ain't got no time to waste. You know how sometimes a few things happen that seem kinda interconnected? The Baader-Meinhof phenomenon. And I had that these days. It all started when I drove to Nuremberg on Friday. And I started thinking about advertising and about the fact that most of advertising kinda sucks. But not many artists say that, because advertising is still the main field where an artist works in our society. A graphical artist, at least. And then on the bus I started watching a documentary which was coincidentally about consumerism and how advertising tells the story that you need to consume to be somebody. And the next day I went out and I met an old classmate from a university who is working in an advertising agency and who is very, very unhappy there. Because the way he puts it is, everywhere where there's something is burning and they need somebody to put it out, that's his main field of use. And he was very frustrated with the fact that he's doing all this pointless, shitty stuff for clients who don't have a clue, and is basically running around the place and doing work twice or three times. And today I watched an incredibly well presentation of a VFX masterclass by a guy who is working in the visual effects industry and who worked on Disney movies and on Iron Man, and like a guy who knows what he does. There were mostly students in the audience and he gave a lot of very, very useful advice. But again and again there was this theme of your supervisor and the studio being above you, and as an artist, as a visual effects artist, you have to distance yourself from your work. You can't invest yourself emotionally because it is a product you're making. Distance yourself from the work you're doing, which is very discouraging. And he was fully aware that it is discouraging. It seems like it's the artistic types who, especially in our time, in our generation, are in an extremely shitty position. And the shittiest thing about the shitty position is that it seems like you don't have an alternative. This is the tone we get from basically every professional. It sucks, but what are you gonna do about it? So you just shrug and you just say, okay, and then you just do your work, which doesn't make you happy. Like, being profoundly unhappy is the reality of being an artist, which is just fucking ridiculous. And if that is the status quo, if that is the way it is, then we freaking need to do something about it. Because that is not how it's supposed to be. Because this isn't like that in any other profession. Of course, you can't be happy 24/7. Of course not. And in every job, there's stuff that's fun and stuff that's not so much fun. But if the main feeling of your job is feeling awful, then it's something wrong with the job. So it's either not the right job for you, or, which is more realistically, there needs to be done something about that job, about the perception of that job, about the reality of that job. And I don't have a solution yet. But I think this is where we connect to the epiphany from last week. This sucks and this needs to change, and we need to be upset about it and we need to be vocal about it. That's what I have this week.
I think my theme this week has been redefining love. Or rather, clarifying my definition of it. And it started with me getting called out at a meeting with a bunch of professors where I, presented my thesis idea. And one of the professors called me out and said that he was worried that I am lacking the scientific distance to my subject, that I need to be less involved in what I'm studying in order to study it well. And that bothered me a lot because while I don't think that's true, I don't like getting called unprofessional. Professionalism is really important to me because I value what I do very highly and I need others to value it that way too. So that shook me a little bit. And I had to ponder my relationship to my topic and my proximity to art and whether or not that makes me able to still study it. And I think where I landed is this. I think it's not about scientific distance, I think it's about scientific openness. You need to be open to any result, and you need to be open to discover things that you didn't think would be there. And then transferring that into life beyond, science and beyond my thesis. This week has been all about openness. It's been all about opening up to one another, understanding others as complex individuals and understanding yourself as a complex individual, which I think sometimes is even harder. Because you always know yourself in the now. You know where you came from and you know what you believe in and what's important to you. But you will change. You always change. And the you that is going to be in a week or in a year or in 20 years is likely going to be much different than the you of today. And that's a good thing. Because it means that you don't need to decide everything about your life right now. You get to experience life and grow within it. And that makes relationships so freaking fascinating and so incredibly rewarding, because entering any sort of long-term relationship with any sort of person means that you get to grow together. And that necessitates that you are open to one another, that you are open to how the other person changes, and accepting that complexity not as a complication, but as part of the adventure is exhilarating. Commitment isn't about deciding to be in a certain place or to do a certain thing or to promise to be a certain way for a longer period of time, other than promising that you will be open. Commitment means that you're attaching another person or another project or another reality to your own reality, accepting the fact that you will grow with it. It expands your horizon. And that's a beautiful thing. So to summarize, my lesson of this week: distance is overrated. Openness is where it's at. And that's something that I'm still working on. But I think I'm getting better. And I like it a lot.
So it's almost 4 a.m. now. The updates are done editing. They need to render and upload in time. See you next week. And these updates are coming a little earlier than usual, which is a thing that has never happened. And for a really good reason, because...
Because we're usually late? Oh, you mean the reason they're early, not the reason that it hasn't happened before. We are going to the Fusion Festival.
It is basically like the European Burning Man.
Is that really true? Because Burning Man has a lot of really terrible connotations associated with it.
If you Wikipedia that shit, that's like one of the first things that pop up. But it's not important. It's way better than Burning Man. Not even being there ever.
I'm just saying that I think Fusion is going to be better and less douchebaggy than Burning Man is. At least I really hope so. If not, you misled me, and we're going to have a very serious conversation about that.
More serious conversations.
Hello.